Okay, so we're gonna keep going here, talking about the Costa system. Um, just realize that you're gonna start seeing um, the blending of both European and native, and European and African. The European and native would be your mestizo. Your European and African your um, would be your mulatto. And it was just this, that's what the system was built on. Latin America, Caribbean, South American societies were all built on these really these new racial hierarchies. Um, and they're you know they're also kind of, one of the, what they show is what happens um, with the growth of the plantation system. Again, more slaves mean more opportunities for these connections to happen, and they tended to happen. So, um, again, just to understand the complex role that this racial system played, that should cover, that covers a couple of these on here. Um, Talked about European interactions with the Japanese. What were some social, economic, political, and gender effects on slave trade? I don't think we talked about those yet. Um, Basically understand like the taking of slaves out of Africa over 200-year period is going to deplete it of men. It's going to force really women to step into some of those male roles as leaders, as soldiers. It's going to create interesting kind of family dynamics. You're going to have a lot of men that are almost forced in a way to take on multiple wives, have polygamous relationships in order to help kind of repopulate. They're going to experience their fair share of new world foodstuffs and potentially diseases. And really, they're at the mercy of the Europeans, because the Europeans have gotten them in this kind of this trap where they can't get out of it. They need those luxury goods, or they need protection, and that's what this kind of comes down to. Again, I said today in class, self preservation is what a lot of this was. Um, 2 to 3 reasons African slaves were needed in the New World. Again, the obvious ones: plantation. Just that term plantation system. Um, I think it's obvious, but sometimes it's that's the wording that's used in the CED, and sometimes we're looking for something else. Whether it's just cash crop growth, we're looking for something, and plantation system tends to be a key term that they use quite a lot. Um, all right. Explain the mechanics behind mercantilism. Where would it be seen globally? Remember your 3 kind of points of mercantilism. It's to obtain as much gold bullion or silver bullion as you can. It is to export more goods than you import, and it is to have lots of colonies so that you can take raw goods and then produce them into manufactured goods and sell them to everybody in your colonies, make them buy from you. You pair this with joint stock companies, with the charters that were coming out of European states like England, where only certain companies could do business in certain goods in certain areas. You're starting to see this dynamic economic system where the states are controlling things. But you're seeing a pathway to capitalism, which is what's gonna come next. So go back and look over the term. You'll probably see something with that on there. How did natives in the New World fight back? That's what we spent a lot of time talking about today in 4.6. Again, they think specifically about the Maroons. They took off. They ran away. That was their best chance of escape. And sometimes it led to uprisings. And what was because of the proximity of Caribbean islands to one another and to the East Coast of the United States, you are going to start seeing the events in places like Jamaica, where we talked about those Maroon Wars. They're gonna be understood. That slaves are gonna hear about them in the Americas, or on the East Coast of the United States, and it's gonna lead to some of those slave rebellions or potential slave rebellions and uprisings that they're gonna have to deal with here as well. Um, let's see. What role did Amerindians? This is number 12. Amerindians play in helping Europeans in the New World. I'm not sure where that. Just they taught them how to, where to grow, what to grow. They were again. They made them a lot of wealth. They were able to utilize their role. It wasn't that they were doing it on purpose. They were just they were exploited, and they were turned into, part of the gears that ran the economic system of the Atlantic slave trade, of triangular trade, whatever it is. I mean, those are some keywords too. Triangular trade. It's that whole process. Slaves from Africa to the New World in exchange for raw goods. Raw goods go back to Europe. Europe makes stuff out of them, and that system starts over again. That's the triangular trade. The Atlantic slave trade is just the dealing in slaves. The Columbian exchange is that biological exchange. Yeah, sure, money was involved, wealth was involved, but it was more about diseases and foodstuffs and things like that. And then the last one on here, compare interactions between the Spanish and the English with natives in the New World. Again, we talked about that today. The British were a lot more involved, or the British were a lot less involved than what the Spanish were. They didn't have the interactions that the Spanish did with the natives. They saw that as like going native as a bad thing. They weren't interested in converting them. Again, there was less of them. They didn't deal with large communities of them like the Spanish did. All right, that's it. I'm going to stop it here. Again, you know where I'm at. Email me if you've got questions today. Make sure you check the board. Make sure you read what's on the board. I'm going to show up in the morning and make sure things are set up and do subnotes and things like that. So, all right. So I'll see you on, if I don't see you in the tutorial on this afternoon or Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday. Yeah. I don't even know what day is it at this point. If I don't see you on the tutorial Tuesday afternoon, I'll see you in class Wednesday. Please study. Please show up prepared. And I think you'll do okay.